A scary red-eyed monkey-like creature roams the woods. A famous scene from the classic Thai film Uncle Bumni Who Can Recall His Past Lives, directed by Apichatpong Virasethakul. This being is stuck between life and death, being in a state of limbo, neither entirely living nor dead. In that movie, the jungle is an enigmatic place, a domain where the otherworldly and the actual world collide. The forgotten victims of political turmoil who have been removed from the nation's history narrative are poignantly symbolized by the forest. Churuli, a film directed by Lijo Jose Pellissery in Malayalam, has a similar essence. Here too, the jungle blurs the boundaries between the real and the supernatural. The jungle is not only a region in the film, but also a complex threshold between explicable and the inexplicable. Some blue-eyed creatures roam here who do not fit into any category known to ordinary human beings. Pellisery is a well-known character in Indian cinema these days. His personal stamp on his filmmaking approach is visible in all of his productions. In today's episode, we will look at how Pellisery weaves mythical and supernatural aspects into his film and how he makes them part of everyday life. As references, we have chosen his two films, Churuli and Jallikattu. Let's talk about Churuli first. The film starts with a folk tale of a monk's risky attempt to capture a shape-shifting demon in a dense forest. The demon is cunning. He knows plenty of ways to deceive people. He takes a pangolin's disguise and outwits the monk and traps him inside the forest, leaving him with no way out. The monk wanders in the forest for eternity. This parable sets the stage for the main story, in which two undercover police officers go to Churuli village in disguise to find a fugitive who is evading capture. They decide to go to Churuli in the pretext of finding employment as daily wage laborers. As a result, the movie makes its viewers aware that the original story will have some kind of connection to the aforementioned folktale. Throughout the whole movie, a lot of inexplicable things give us a persistent feeling of uneasiness. In this film, the supernatural coexists with reality, practically at arm's length. In one scene, the camera follows Antony and Shajivan as they get off their bus and go into a little hut for lunch. Shajivan notices something, so he gets vigilant. We get more and more uneasy with this kind of point of view shot taken from behind the bush, which reminds us of Ram Gopal Varma's horror films. In those films, ghosts or demons used to keep watch on the protagonists. However, what frightens Shajivan is not revealed to the viewer. As a result, our anxiety remains undirected and stays stuck within us. Any encounter with supernatural beings require some sort of transgression or stepping over the line into forbidden territory. The border between the real and the supernatural is here being marked by the wooden bridge on the way towards Churuli. Let us consider the scene. The moment the jeep crossed the bridge, the locals' attitude towards Antony and Shajivan changed. Everyone who had up until then seemed harmless became harsh and abusive. As a result, the crossing of the bridge evokes a sense of unease in the viewer's mind. The wooden bridge serves as the threshold between the humane and the otherworldly realms, crossing which will bring some eerie consequences. There are certain visual patterns throughout the film that serve as a precursor to a supernatural presence. Observe how the animation at the beginning features a lot of spiral elements on the screen, such as coiled snakes, twisted tree branches, and meandering jungle paths. Every visual is trippy and hallucinogenic. Top shots refer to a multi-layered story that spirals inwards into an unpleasant center. When the top shots show the bus traveling down the windy hilly routes into the depths of the jungle, the viewer instantly remembers the top shot seen in the fable segment. Here too, they assume the presence of an omnipresent powerful narrator, and the adventure seems ominous to them. The spiral motifs appears again throughout the movie, signifying the otherworldly region that the folklore describes. For example, the camera pans over a spiral-shaped mosquito coil when Shahjivan awakens, hinting at his encounter with strange entities in the forest. These spiral patterns are signifiers of never-ending deceptive loop that traps ordinary human beings. Whenever the spiral, a signifier straight out of the fable, resurfaces in the main film in some way or the other, anxiety, fear, and unease creep in a very familiar or seemingly unnatural setting. At a crucial juncture, a character informs Shahjivan, "We rebuild our homes when elephants destroy them." Churuli's spiral imagery is resonant with this never ending cycle. Now let's talk about the camera angles. The camera work in this film is primarily slow and steady, with each shot remaining on screen for a long time. In this film, the surroundings are a major source of terror. The camera plays the role of a meticulous observer, keeping its focus on the scene for long stretches of time to add tension to the mood. However, at times, the stillness is broken up by quick cuts of point of view chasing shots. Take note of the magnificent montage that Pellissery creates when everyone drinks together at the tavern. The camera breaks leave its slow treatment for quick cuts, underscoring the suspicious behavior of the inhabitants or the unpleasant reception the pair receives on their first day at Churuli. Furthermore, the point of view and handled chasing shots add to the fear. As we have seen shots in which the camera hides behind the bush, the following handled shots evoke a fear in our minds. It appears as though an unidentified terror lying behind the trees is coming out to get Antony and Shahjivan. Pellicer uses colors to great effect, bringing unease into seemingly commonplace scenes and highlighting the two worlds, natural and supernatural. The contrast between blue and yellow appears often in the movie. Yellow, which is frequently employed in situations with human presence, indicates warmth and comfort, while thick misty blue denotes regions beyond human perception. For instance, let's recall a scene. We see the mellow yellow light of the tavern flickering feebly against the deep blue backdrop of the night forest. One cannot pinpoint the boundary of these two colors, suggesting the hazy boundary between the real and the supernatural. When Shahjivan enters the jungle at night, the yellow light goes out, signifying that he is leaving the mortal domain towards an unknown world. When he steps out of the tavern, we see him in the blue light. Blue is the color of supernatural. Hence, it is used as the color of the forest, which is home to unidentified, unsettling creatures. Therefore, reality and the supernatural mix together in Churuli. Nevertheless, every now and then, the supernatural intrudes upon reality, sometimes via the use of certain camera angles, color schemes, or visual patterns. Like the monk's failure to identify pangolin, the film is full of illusions that make it hard to tell what's real and what isn't. Every inhabitant of Churuli uses a pseudonym, and an inexplicable secrecy permeates the whole place. Churuli therefore becomes a hard to decipher universe in which illusion and truth blend together. Pellicer uses a variety of cinematic devices to muddle the line, leaving viewers wondering what is real and what isn't. Jallikattu opens with a number of characters, awakening and heavy breathing. Close-ups of insects, trees, and the sunlight follow. These details have symbolic meaning. The breathing and opening of eyes symbolize the advent of humanity, and the close-ups of the insect and tree indicate primitive, primordial beings and highlight the forest-dwelling phase of human evolution where things were not much civilized. Lastly, the dawn represents the start of what is known as civilization. The director skillfully summarizes the history of human evolution into this opening montage, encapsulating the essence of humanity's growth in a concise and effective manner. Who then is the enemy in this situation? Rather than being an extraterrestrial or otherworldly power like in Churuli, it's the basic aggressive nature of humanity itself up against the ethics of civilization. In this film, this essential part of human nature, which is hidden under a facade of civilization, reaches mythical dimensions. Pellissery consciously dismantles social constructions throughout the whole film. In the end, it becomes hard for us to distinguish between wild creatures and people because the characters have completely given in to their primitive raw barbaric instinct. Consequently, the whole movie goes beyond its particular real world context and explores abstract primordial universality. It aims to reach the darkest corners of the human psyche and release fear from the repressed aggression therein. However, how does Jallikattu dismantle social structures? The bull's rage in Jallikattu is a powerful metaphor for tearing apart social identities. Take a look at the scene where the bull charges towards the street. After a certain point of time, the bull topples political flags, tramples, and charges at onlookers while they wait for it to capture and kill the bull. Now let's look at an interesting theme. After all, political identities, any ideology, are a byproduct of the civilization. The bull methodically destroys these structures, religion, caste, politics, and social norms one by one, returning people to their most basic primitive selves. Pellissery demonstrates how easily human communities can come apart, revealing the underlying primitive inclinations. In contrast to Churuli, Jallikattu uses rapid cuts and short scenes to convey the chaos that exists deep beneath the human psyche. While Churuli employed long and mostly still shots to place the characters in relation to the environment, to establish the environment as a source of fear, Jallikattu uses extreme close-ups to dive into the inner turmoil of its characters. The film starts out with close-ups and gradually widens until it reaches a large field where a human pyramid forms. That is the penultimate shot of the film. The camera gradually moves away, giving the impression that what started off as a specific incident has evolved into a universal, primordial encounter. The story moves from an event that happened in a particular society to a primitive, eternal world where personal identities vanish. There are no longer any differences and no hierarchies. Everyone gives in to their primitive urges and descends into an almost mythical, uncivilized world where they have become nameless, primordial creatures. We have tried to show how the supernatural and mythical coexist with reality within its boundaries and in close proximity to our everyday lives in Pellissery's two films. A single slip up or infraction is enough to remove the boundary between supernatural and real, mythical and the mundane. Pellissery indicates that the supernatural is intertwined with the domain of reality within grasp, in contrast to many directors who prefer to keep the unreal and real distinct from one another. The eerie might appear out of nowhere, shocking and unsettling us. That's what these two of Pellissery's films establish.